welcome to Gen X Rated Tuesday edition, New Year or Christmas Eve. Appreciate you guys being here. What?
Oh, glad to be here. Christmas Eve.
Yeah, Christmas Eve day.
Christmas
you
Eve.
You know, how we doing?
Oh, I'm good. I'm just looking up something because Bill's a goofball. So,
jeez, that could be a while.
You know, Google. I'm a liar. I'm a genius. You know.
I know it.
Oh,
liar.
All right.
So
anyway,
yes.
Sorry.
Today's the 23rd, 24th today. Yesterday was the anniversary of the Immaculate Reception.
The greatest play in football history.
Arguably the great. Well, actually, it was voted the best play in history. So
it was.
Run it.
How old is it?
1972. So
that was
72. So there are 10 seconds left.
4.
So this is Pittsburgh's first playoff game in 40 years, right? Mm-hmm. They have Franco Harris as a rookie. They have a great season. They go 11-3. They make the playoffs. First round game is at home against the Raiders. Steelers are up 6-0. It's a hard-fought, vicious game, the kind of game that these two teams would play throughout the decade. They were mirror images, just big, physical, tough teams loaded with Hall of Famers.
So Franco's a rookie, right?
Yeah.
Franco Harris is a rookie this year? Okay.
Yeah, Bradshaw's a third-year guy. Okay. Swan and Stallworth aren't there yet. The steel curtain is not yet complete. Jack Lambert hasn't been drafted yet, but they're still good.
I didn't even know all that. Wow. Damn.
Mm-hmm. So this is basically the birth of a dynasty right here. So it's a hard-fought game, a slugfest. The Steelers take a very, very physical 6-0 lead, and with like a minute and a half left, Kenny Stabler, who has come into the game because Darryl LaMonica, the starter, has thrown like 3 interceptions and been ineffective. Stabler comes in with a minute and a half left. He leads the Raiders on a drive, rolls out, and scores like a 30-yard touchdown, runs it in. So the Steelers get the ball back, under a minute left. And this play, they are down to their last play. It's 4th down. There's 22 seconds left in the game. Bradshaw's back to pass. He's looking, he's scrambling, throws downfield. And out of nowhere, he's throwing over the middle to Frenchie Fuqua. Jack Tatum knocks him out. Ball bounces off Tatum, which is still being discussed today, but that ball bounced off Tatum. Franco Harris, the rookie, comes out of nowhere, scoops it off inches from the ground, scoops it up, takes off, dances the tightrope into the end zone. Steelers win. Most amazing play ever.
Wait, you guys are from Pittsburgh. Do you have video evidence that this wasn't an incomplete pass, or are you just making up all that shit?
Well, I showed you the second.
You said that shit definitively.
I sent you the second angle, which clearly shows that it didn't
clearly.
Clearly,
run it again.
72 film clearly.
Yeah, here's the angle that you need to look at. Gene.
I got to play devil's advocate on this one.
Take a look at it.
Art Shell was my O-line coach. And,
I know, we're going to get to that.
Yeah, I wouldn't say he exactly rolls with your definitive statement there. So,
well,
roll it again, Rose. Let's see it, buddy.
Yeah, let me see this definitive.
Here's your buddy.
Yeah,
I know, but we're going to get to that.
Art Shell.
Show Gene the first version that you just showed.
Fine, I'll come back to this because I would like you to see the Raiders sideline.
Well, the only people saying definitive, I'm pretty sure, are the people from Pennsylvania. But I feel you, man. I feel you.
Well, there's only so many angles.
Controversy, by the way. The tuck rule, this shit. Can a dynasty just be built off of just straight ass fucking running the power T and everybody filming everything perfectly and.
Well, there is. I think the NBC feed shows it's like a front shot of Franco catching it, and he clearly scoops it up before it hits the ground.
You have to quit saying clearly.
In fact, hey, listen, that's right here,
arguable.
Right here on freeze frame, you can see Franco bending over and picking that ball up.
Hold on.
Unfreeze. Unmute.
There's a fucking line right in front of the goddamn. Okay.
Did you see it?
Roll it back.
This is the fucking Zapruder film. Jesus Christ. What are you guys doing
right there
to me?
All right.
And leave Harvey Oswald was the only shooter. All I'm saying is when you guys say definitive, you're going to get pushback. But,
no.
But they 100% won this game.
No,
And
it's
it
not.
did start the dynasty. I will agree with you on that. It just dawned on me that all these dynasties are started on fucking controversies. Very, very strange.
All right. Keep in
And congrats
mind,
to you in 1972 for starting this
keep in
dynasty, because it
mind,
doesn't
the
mean shit
Steelers,
today.
the Steelers lost the next week to the Dolphins on a
fake punt.
and the
Mhm.
Dolphins had the undefeated season that they still toast today.
Well,
was
and
the
that
fake punt legit?
Yeah.
Okay, because I don't even remember. You guys know I don't pay attention to football. I'm from Nebraska. Pro
well,
football.
yeah. They never talked about that when you were with the Dolphins? Those old guys?
Well, no, Dwight Stevenson didn't really talk about that. He was my assistant O-line coach for a while. I only met Larry Little once.
Legend.
Yeah, he was good.
Met
Brother was
Zonka maybe once. So no, these guys only talk about this shit once a year. Once everyone's been defeated, and
That's right.
they get to drink the champagne. And anymore, I mean, I think Mercury Morris just died. So anymore, this is
From
becoming a
Pittsburgh?
very, very small club.
This is the video of the sideline of the Raiders, just to see the reaction. There's your coach.
my old coach Art Shell ran out like they won that shit.
I know.
So
right?
that's why everyone there will always be an argument.
Watch this. And you can see, if you look to the left, you can see the play happen. Roll it back, Rose.
It's just too quick. It's too Zapruder filmish, man. I mean,
right here, and it's too fast.
Yeah. Well, what did Art Shell? I know Art Shell has talked to you Pittsburgh lovers about this play when he was the O-line coach in Atlanta. What did he say to you, Bill, about this play?
I asked him about it one day, and Art was clearly still bugged about it. His version of it was that the officials gathered together. They called up to the booth upstairs to say, hey, how much security do you have to get us out of here if we say that this was an incomplete, or the rule was two offensive player couldn't touch the ball consecutively.
In advance, correct.
So if we call this a dead play, how much security do you have to get us out of here? And they said, well, we've got 2 cops. And he said, touchdown Pittsburgh.
That's a great story. Man, that would be funny if that was true. That's the same story he told us in the O-line room every year when all the new recruits came in.
And I love this guy on the sidelines. I think he's an assistant coach. I don't know who that is, but he's walking by and he's just like, shucks. If you roll that back.
There's Joe Otto, too.
Jim
Legendary. Jim Otto.
Well, bottom line, it doesn't need to be argued too much because, like you said, the Dolphins went undefeated, and they're the team that's known in that era for their fucking awesomeness that year anyway.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the next night, New Year's Eve, Roberto Clemente died.
It was
no shit. Oh,
Hall of Fame, all amazing human being, center fielder, or
plane accident, correct?
Mm-hmm. Delivering aid to Nicaragua, where they've had a devastating earthquake.
Oh, that's right. Speaking of awesome human beings, let's not forget it was FloJo's birthday this week, I believe on the 21st. Florence Griffith Joyner. Were you guys were the Falcons were we the ones that went out and met her, or was I with the Browns when we met her?
It was the Falcons when we were out in San Diego for that week to play the Chargers.
Yeah, we were out practicing in San Diego, and she was filming a commercial, and we all lined up like little schoolgirls to take a picture with her when she was filming a Nike commercial or some commercial for somebody. She was pretty marketable back then.
From St. Louis, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but we met her when we were out there practicing for our game.
Nice.
And I just couldn't get over the fact of how tiny of a human she was. First, she was so fast. She was just a tiny, tiny, tiny little human being with those giant long fingernails. But it was her birthday this week. Rest in peace to her. And I don't even have any other sports stuff other than was FloJo happy birthday.
We had talked the other day about the Darryl Stingley. You mentioned his nephew. Who's playing and
is it his nephew or his son? I think it's his son.
Grandkid. It's his grandkid.
So
his son played in the Arena League.
Yes.
So Derek Stingley and Derek Stingley Jr. plays now for Houston.
And I don't feel like we covered Stingley enough the other day. This was Jack Tatum laying him out in a preseason game.
Preseason game.
Darryl
Stingley had a new contract. Sitting on the general manager's desk back in New England. So they had flown out to Oakland for the game and waiting for him to sign when they got back. So he's paralyzed in a meaningless preseason game because this is who Jack Tatum was. Dude, that play we just looked at If Jack Tatum doesn't go for the big hit and just knocks the ball down, game's over. Oakland goes to the AFC Championship game. So Tatum paralyzes this guy, never apologizes. Said once he tried, nobody would take his call. So, but one of the crazy parts of this is, so after the game, the Raiders coach, John Madden, who is an A1 human being, just aces.
Cal Poly football player.
Yeah, just a really good dude. He goes to the hospital to see Stingley, and there's nobody there, nobody from the Patriots. He gets on the phone, he calls the airport, he gets through to the Patriots charter as it's on the runway, and he says, hey, somebody get the fuck off that plane and get back here. And so they sent someone like me, some PR scrub, but they sent somebody. They were just going to fly off and leave this guy. And every day that Stingley was in the hospital there in Oakland, John Madden and his wife would come and visit him every day. And I mean, they stayed friends. They stayed in touch for the rest of their lives. So just a quality human being.
Big fan of John Madden.
Mm-hmm.
And now they use this video game to assess talent.
To be fair to Darryl Stingley, not the apology part. I don't know any of that shit.
To Tatum or Stingley? Who are we being fair to?
To Tatum. To be fair to Tatum, hit was legal.
Yeah.
Preseason.
The 70s were vicious.
Some of the scariest plays I've ever played on were being on the kickoff return team during preseason, forming the wedge, trying to stop some guy that's trying to make the other team. Scariest shit. Human missiles coming down. So
yeah.
Let's I don't think he was trying to break the guy's neck, other than the fact that when you played back then, you were always trying to break someone's fucking neck, whether you were Dick Buckkiss or whoever.
Fair.
Or who was that poor quarterback that got hit by Detroit and almost killed by Wilbur Marshall? Ferguson, Joe Ferguson.
Was it?
No, it was Ferguson.
Was it Ferguson?
Yeah, it was Ferguson. He almost got killed, and the Bears literally. I mean, he was knocked out cold. We're standing there. Mike Singletary talks about it. It was just, I'm gonna get him. No, I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna get him. And they're like, and he's like, calm it down. You don't have to kill the guy. And they're like, yeah, we do. He's the quarterback. Yeah. That was a decade after.
Dude, yeah.
Sure.
So, 85 Bears, dude. That was.
I don't want to beat up a dead man too much. That Darryl Stingley had tons of demons, and so did Tatum. They both did. Of course, Stingley's came from being paralyzed.
Yeah.
So we have to be careful when we criticize.
It's one of those things too, where that's why in a preseason game you don't have your starters in there, because the other team's got some try-harders that are trying to make the team. Maybe it's a late hit. Maybe it's a over-aggressive low hit. I mean, sure, it's worth it to try hard, but it's not worth it to the team.
It's a very dangerous game. Let's never forget, even all the rule changes, it's super dangerous. Go ahead, Bill.
And maybe you don't call a slant over the middle against that team.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, the whole thing is just it's a nightmare for everybody.
And that was an era, and they worked through that. If you recall, Chuck Noll called him a thug. Mel Blount was mentioned in that. It was the era. Go ahead.
That was after the game, the 76 opener out in Oakland, and Lynn Swann, the play is going away from them. It's unbelievable. It's a short pass to Franco Harris. The play's going away. Swann is just like turning to go upfield, and Atkinson just clobbers him. He just forearms him to the face, knocks him out. And they called a penalty, but no ejection. And I think he ended up getting fined. So yeah, after that game, Noel talked about the criminal element in the league.
That's right.
And so they sued him for defamation, and then they put him up on cross-examination in the courtroom, and they said, well, what about your players? Because Pittsburgh played the same kind of game. I mean, it just, a lot of it just depended, your point of view depended on. Yeah.
What about all the players? What about Dwight Stevenson getting his knee blown the fuck out by Marty Lyons on an interception that they were nowhere near? This shit happens all the time. Who was the Jets player that broke his neck on his own players?
Oh yeah.
It's a fucking scary game. That's what nobody ever tells you, is how dangerous this game is. And
this photo, Joe Green literally went out on the turf and picked up Lynn Swann and carried him off the field.
Yeah, well, that was in Pittsburgh. That was
have done that because he could have had a broken neck. But Joe Green was also one of my coaches, and also one of the best human beings. At Art Shell and Joe Green, I both had them. I had Joe with the Dolphins. He was the D-line coach. The guy, he was one of the few coaches that would say good things about me, even though I played O-line. That kept me going when I was just miserable his kind of player. Being a Dolphin. He was a good dude. He was a good coach. Doesn't get enough credit for being a good coach. Neither does Art Shell. These guys coach some really good players. Not to mention they're Hall of Fame players themselves. So Hall of Fame players can coach. Sometimes they just don't get the credit for it.
Absolutely.
I met Joe Green briefly one time. I was in college, and the Steelers had an outdoor practice facility a few blocks away from the stadium. So I would cut through there to get to classes, and they were coming off the field, and he was coaching then. And I walked up to him, and I'm like, I wanted to say something to him, and I didn't know what. So I'm just like, hey, Mean Joe, you know what time it is? And he looks at me, he said, son, that's Mr. Green to you. And I said, I'm sorry, Mr. Green. You know what time it is? It's like 3:15, son.
Smart move, because no jury's going to convict him if he whoops your ass. You know that.
But just a quality guy, man. Just
super good guy. But yeah, you just because you're a good guy, you don't approach people disrespectfully. I figured that out in my life. We all just did the shit as kids. But he was definitely a good dude. Art Shell was definitely a good dude. I liked them both as good. I always liked coaches that played. I preferred them over coaches that didn't play. And so I was actually fortunate. Most of my coaches actually played in the NFL.
Yeah.
So from Reeves to Shula, they all did, right? June Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Who else? Art Shell. Who else have I had as a coach?
Played.
Yeah. Bill Belichick did not play, but
Shula did not play.
Greatest
he was a lifer
of all time. Yeah, he's definitely a lifer. Setting up his son for a nice little gig in North Carolina there.
Did you see that story? It was LT. Lawrence Taylor, and I think it was on Instagram or TikTok. He was talking about when when Bill Parcells promoted him to promoted Belichick to defensive coordinator. He had been the assistant special teams coach, and LT's like, "The hell are you doing promoting this slappy? Who is this guy?" And he's like, "Well, I got to tell you, this is the guy that's been designing and actually running our defense for the past couple of years." So
sure.
Yeah, he's legit. So LT's like, oh, okay. All right, fine.
Definitely.
But it's just interesting. I can't tell you the number of times I heard players be like talking about assistant coaches together and they're like, what the fuck does he know? He didn't play.
Yeah, that happens a lot. Or sometimes they're just not X's and O's people. Not every head coach isn't a coordinator or an X's and O's guy. I don't ever remember John Harbaugh fucking running an offense or a defense. So it's or who's the Detroit coach? He was never Campbell was never a coordinator, was he?
I don't believe so.
Position coach. So
maybe a tight ends coach.
Yeah, and I think over time, once you become a head coach, you kind of forget some of that shit. So.
Well, Cowher too. Cowher was a special teams coach. Cleveland, Kansas City. He did special teams as well. Now,
yeah. So, who do you guys think makes for the best type of head coach? Former player or a former coordinator that played, or does he not have to be a coordinator? Like, what do you like?
It's tough because I think Mike Tomlin was only a coordinator for a year, right? He played college.
That's it. He was only a coordinator for a year.
No, because
he was a coordinator for a year in Minnesota, right?
Well, he was in Tampa. He was the secondary coach.
He was the DB. He was secondary coach, and I think he spent a year. Did he spend a year in Minnesota as the coordinator?
And what position was he in college? A receiver or a DB?
He was a receiver.
Okay.
I guess a lot of it just depends on the guy too, right? Because as a good head coach has to be able to relate to everybody on the team. You got to know like which guys need a pat on the back, which guys need a kick in the ass, who responds to what. I think a lot of that makes a big difference rather than because the head coach isn't that involved in the X's and O's.
Yeah,
no, but like someone like Dan Campbell gets a lot of credit because he's like, fuck it, we're going for it on every fourth down. And then all of a sudden that just becomes some weird ass trend. And then he'll get some sort of genius moniker for it when it's really just his personality and he's willing to take fucking risks.
And a great coordinator in Detroit currently is a big part of it. He'll be
Oh, definitely. Oh,
he'll be
you
sought
definitely
after.
need good coordinators to have good teams. I'm just not always seeing a head coach that was
For
some
sure.
fantastic
I
coordinator
mean,
like
Chuck
Belichick
Noll
Yeah.
was.
coached special teams himself.
Oh, he did.
Special
Okay.
teams, quarterbacks. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
well,
And-
that means there's hope for the
Well,
three of us.
and
Maybe someday he'll be a head coach.
could be. But I really
It's
think that
possible.
a lot of it just depends on the team picks up its character from the head coach's character. You know, Cowher was like kind of a rah-rah guy, fiery, emotional.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
June was really quiet. June was pretty laid back and never had much to say. The only time, the closest I ever heard him come to swearing was he got upset about something that happened and he threw down his headset and yelled, "Oh, suck." He wouldn't say the F word,
Ooh,
never swore. Always a gentleman.
so
That was the
Christian.
closest I've ever
Mm.
gotten to hearing him.
I bet you that shit changed after that TBI he got when he fucking ran into that barrier.
Ooh, dude, he
And
was
then
lucky
all
to
of a
live.
sudden, boom, divorced. I bet she cusses now. That's all I'm saying.
So,
Sometimes you get perspective when you get knocked on the head, as Bill can attest to.
well, let's
Yes.
not
Look at
forget he was in a car accident in Hawaii, and those golf clubs he had went flying right by his head.
Oh,
He
no
was
shit.
He was safe because he wasn't wearing his seatbelt,
correct.
Mm.
right? Because he hit and like slumped to the side, and that golf club went right where he would have been sitting.
That was a bag of golf clubs. They all went by him. He'd have been fucked
I
up.
have a skull that's almost bulletproof. I have so many dents on my head from just, I can't even tell you how many times I've dented my head where the dent stays, but I'm still here.
Still here, still
Yeah,
sharp as a
still
tack.
in the golf club.
Let me know if I start slipping cognitively. So Melissa thought I was the other day when I started dropping F-bombs every other word, but no, that was just me
That's-
having.
I've known you for 30 years. That's nothing new.
Oh, okay. Well, she's known me for even longer, and
I'd be
she
worried
thought
if
that
you
was a bit
stopped
much.
dropping F-bombs.
Today I've been pretty good though.
You have. You seem to be in a really good mood today.
It's Christmas Eve, dude. I'm not gonna sit here and F drop bombs. We have better things to do than me saying the F word. So,
All right, well,
Yeah.
we're going to roll right into that F word right here.
Mm.
This is
Fuck
Matt Gaetz.
card.
I just want to give a
Felon.
little bit of background, and I won't go too deep into any of this. But finally, the House Ethics Report came out through much chagrin to the Republicans. In particular, the Speaker of the House didn't want this coming out. But from 2017 to 2020, Matt Gaetz paid for sex, a lot of it, 12 different women, $90,000, drugs and sex. One of them happened to be a 17-year-old. I think she just finished her junior year in high school.
Jesus.
He did take them across state lines, but nobody came forward that was under 18 to make it criminal. Though I would think taking an 18-year-old.
So you're saying he literally committed fucking felonies?
Yeah.
Didn't they try to throw Chuck Berry in jail for that way back when?
Yeah.
Chuck
sure.
Berry or Chuck
Little-
Barris?
No, Chuck Berry.
Chuck Berry.
Oh.
He was filming women on the commode.
Oh,
And
really?
I thought there was something about him taking somebody across state lines or going across state lines to have sex with them. I don't know. Some crazy
Maybe
shit.
from Missouri to Illinois.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
I will say that it would have been great for Trump had he become a cabinet member, because he did put him up for it. The issue would be he'd have all this information on Gaetz, and Gaetz would pretty much do whatever he wanted.
Well, that's the
Um,
weird thing is, like, Gaetz had to have known. That's the weirdest thing about Trump. People don't seem to get, or this dude leaves Congress, really wants to be AG, not realizing Trump's just using this dude because he's got all this info on him, so you can be his little stooge.
That's right.
And,
You're a great attorney general.
And Matt Gaetz is like, hell yeah, because that way I can have sex with underage girls right here, at the Justice Department. Because
you
he's
already
that
know.
sick.
Gonna hire
Now-
a bunch of 17-year-old interns.
And I
And
feel
this
like
guy,
this gentleman.
he has like live boy issues. Let's be real here.
Dude.
Adopting a little black kid when he's like 2.5 years older than him is problematic for me. But whatever. That's our new speaker. This is our new.
And they
normal
audit
in
each other's
America.
porn usage.
The
All
other
the men
question
have
with
sex crimes.
the other question with this gentleman
Yeah.
is that when you ask him where he gets answers for difficult questions, he says he goes right over to the bookshelf and pulls out the Bible and gets all his answers there. And my question is, what did it say in that Bible about this Matt Gaetz, that he was not wanting this to become public, that he was okay with him becoming attorney general? Where is that in the good book? It's confusing to me.
I don't know. You probably have to dig really deep not to find it because it's not
I
in
don't
there.
know.
I mean, there's a lot of
I have no
smiting
idea.
and stoning and plucking out of eyes, but I don't think there's anything about, I don't know, sex with minors.
It's just a little bit crazy. Just putting it out there. I didn't want to get too crazy. We know that Matt Gaetz is a terrible person. We know that he affected a lot of young people's lives. He paid a lot of money to keep it going and had a good time with it. I mean, there's video of him doing cocaine on the House floor. If our representatives are okay with that, then they should stop putting people in jail for doing similar things. Not in the House of Congress.
Wasn't his pal Marjorie Taylor Greene wasn't she threatening to
Expose
expose everybody if this didn't go through? So let's bring it,
Like
Marge.
she doesn't
Let's see
have
what you got.
like sex scandals going on, being married and banging every instructor across America.
That's the workout of the
Poor
day.
Perry Green. Was that his name? Perry Green? Perry. Yeah, I think his name was Perry. Poor Perry. Anyway,
Perry.
What a chump.
Well, I'm starting to think maybe, and I don't want to say we're decent because we're, whatever, but I'm starting to think normal fucking people won't do politics because it's just so gross. And then you're left with the Matt Gaetzes and the Marjorie Taylor Greenes and the Lauren Boeberts and all these people that are problematic. Most of the Kennedys, let's be real here, we're Democrats, but all of them had sex scandals, for fuck's sake. Mm-hmm. It's like we need normal young people that literally haven't been married for 25 years to run because they won't have a sex scandal yet. This is why I root for Gen Z and Gen Alpha as soon as they're old enough to run, because the longer these people are married, man, the issues they have, and they're all in Congress now and they won't leave, and they're all a gerontocracy now. You see how old these people are? I'm reading reports about pharmacists the last 15 years have been giving out Alzheimer's medication to some people in Congress. They just found a Republican congresswoman in a care facility with dementia or some shit, or Alzheimer's.
Mm-hmm. Her last vote was 6 months ago. She's been missing.
Republicans and Democrats alike, man. It's insane.
Well, and there's crazy. A video of her trying to give a speech, and I think this was the last speech she gave. Maybe it was 6 months ago, and she's reading, right? And it's painful to watch. You feel really sorry for her because she just clearly doesn't know where she is, what she's doing, and who puts somebody through that? Who trots somebody out there? It's just cruel.
And on top of that, people trying to go viral based off that shit. Like Meghan McCain's going to come out clapping about how old these motherfuckers are. I literally saw her father, who granted had brain cancer, but was old as fuck, trying to give a speech on Congress, and everyone was like, what in the fuck is this guy talking about? Because he hadn't been diagnosed yet. Mm-hmm. So she should shut the fuck up too, because they're all too fucking old, including your dad, the war hero, was too old, Meghan McCain. So let's knock it off. They all need to go. They're all too fucking old. We need younger blood in there. But they see how disgusting it is. They don't want to run. They don't want their lives put out there. They don't want some lobby group exposing anything they've ever done. Like, I mean, for God's sakes, I've seen Matt Gaetz in a goddamn Winnie the Pooh hat wearing Spider-Man G-string and shit. Who the fuck wants to see that? Everything comes out when you run for politics. That's why it's so hard to get anybody to run for anything, because anything you've ever done, they're going to make a thing of it, even if you were a kid when you did it. I'm not talking about Matt Gaetz. Of course, he's a disgusting adult pig fucker. But just in general, how do you get good people to run, Bill?
I don't know. I think a lot of it is just idealism on their part, which is awesome. And, even when they do and they're successful, somebody like AOC, you've got somebody from the gerontocracy blocking her. Right?
Yeah, that's some shit. Broken Pelosi. Hip, Nancy Pelosi,
broke hip,
recovering
Nancy Pelosi.
In Germany, making phone calls right off of propofol, telling them not to vote for AOC for some sort of, I don't know, twisted payback for the dude AOC beat a few years ago, who was fourth in charge in the Democrats. You can't make any of this shit up. These people are clowning us on both sides. I think
they really are. At the end of the day, they're all in the same club, I think.
And I think once again, and I'm not advocating for shit, but one bullet and one asshole CEO just has us all talking about every which way. These rich fuckers are just screwing with us, messing with our lives, making it harder, making us make decisions based off of anxiety and fear, have us worried about our kids. And now you got Elon Musk's mom going everywhere going, hey man, be poor, procreate, have kids, don't eat, don't go out, don't have any entertainment. You'll be just fine. Just work for us, okay? And that's what the oligarchy's parents are telling us to do.
It's disgusting. It's disturbing. It's maddening. And again, like, I'm not advocating murder, but at least Luigi has started the discussion.
He has. Everything's coming out. Everybody's talking about everything. Everybody that has had a medical issue, from you talking about your shoulder to my wife never having good health insurance and having epilepsy and having to navigate that bullshit her whole life with epilepsy and never having basically worker-based insurance that was any good. We all have a fucking story, and none of them are good. And none of us feel bad for the CEO. And now they're trying to like legislate us into, I don't know, liking CEOs, or they're trying to scare us by giving Luigi a terrorism charge or something. All these school shooters, not, Dylan Roof shoots up a bunch of black people, no terrorism charge. I don't know. We got charged with a hate crime. He got to go to Burger King. But this guy gets perp walked, spent $1 million spent on him. The mayor shows up with all his indictments to take a photo op with him. It's strange how the elites are trying to navigate this shit instead of just admitting we have a problem. We have a wealth problem. We have a class war problem. One of these parties needs to do something about it, but they're both like doubling down on, no, we don't harm elites. We can kill as many of you as we want, any which way we want. We can have death panels. We can send you off to war. It doesn't matter. But if you're rich or you're connected to the rich, it's terrorism. What are they doing, man?
It's
crazy.
And it's interesting to see. I mean, we talked about the fresh cut and the threaded brows that Luigi got from the inmates in Altoona.
Right.
And there was just a thing the other day. They were talking about how shitty his accommodations are in prison, and the other convicts were yelling out the window as CNN was doing a live stand-up out front, and they had it on. And
I saw that. You said that to me. The reporter didn't even know that. He wasn't even quite sure. He's like, "Are they yelling my name?" And they were yelling his name, and they were telling him the conditions stuck, and they were screaming "Free Luigi." So thank God that someone's taking care of this guy. Otherwise, I think the elites would Epstein his ass. You know what I mean? And I think there's too much spotlight. They kind of sort of have to keep him alive, run him through this fucking chicken shit trial they're going to run him through. And
we saw who the judge is too, right?
Married to a lobbyist.
Married to a healthcare lobbyist, right?
The judge that's going to be presiding over Luigi's case is married to a healthcare lobbyist. Seems fair.
But
I'm sure he'll get a fair shake.
Sure, why not? But it's interesting in that I forgot what I was going to say. I had a really good point and I lost it.
How many gummies you eat today, fucker?
I didn't have one yet. That's probably the problem.
God damn it! Light that thing and remember some shit.
Yeah, you better take a hit for me.
Go ahead, Rob. What do you got?
Well, I was going to talk briefly, going back into a little bit more of Christmas time, packages that have been coming. Now, we know that Starbucks is trying to unionize, and they went on strike this time of year. Same with Amazon at several locations. One of the locations I saw that Amazon officials turned on the water to flood them out where they were on the side of the building. Seems kind of shitty.
That was New York,
all this is going on, and then I started getting packages showing up at my house that I thought I didn't know who bought what, but a giant box showed up at my house. I picked it up. It was super light, and I've had like a lampshade delivered before. I was like, oh, that's why I use this big box, because you want to protect something super light that's bulky. Empty, literally nothing in the box. And I went down as soon as FedEx delivered it to pick it up to avoid porch pirates, so to speak. Empty. I've never seen anything like it.
So they just delivered an empty box. They forgot to put the shit in the box? Or?
And that's what I thought. So I was like, oh, maybe it happened at Amazon. Those guys are tired, whatever, busy, peeing in a bottle, whatever you want to say. Yesterday, another box came and it was empty. And this came from FedEx again. It was ordered through Amazon, delivered by FedEx. It had a correction label on it, but the correction label from FedEx was the same address and name as what was done by Amazon. Another empty box. And Amazon's quick to reimburse you. That's not the issue per se, but where's my shit going? And
No, if there was a gold bar in each of those boxes, would you even be telling us this story? I'm just asking. But oh no, that's yeah, I don't know, dude. We need to start paying everybody a living wage, get them the rest they need. We fought for 40-hour work weeks for a living. Unions serve a purpose. Not cop unions, by the way. They're fucking waste of time. So I don't support cop unions at all. And until cops start supporting our unions like we support them, fuck cop unions. They can make minimum wage because they're the ones that help Amazon break that picket line in New York before they started spraying raw sewage on them. So enough's enough, man. Either we're all in this shit together. And by the way, some of these unions, I don't believe the Teamsters endorsed anybody for president. Not that I'm happy with Democrats, but fuck around and find out. And oh, by the way, I believe New York City Fire Union, they didn't endorse anybody, or they endorsed Trump. And now, Trump wants to pull the 9/11 funding out of the budget and shit. So another fuck around and find out. Not that we're perfect as Democrats, but when are you going to quit fucking around with these Republicans, man? They're out to ruin your fucking lives and make you worker slaves. For
the record, Jon Stewart put so much time to get health benefits to those
twice, 20 years apart, twice, because it expired. And I don't know why. Why do we keep? And that's another trick. These fucking elite issues. They use expiration dates on automatic weapons or funding for 9/11 for the regular folks. Ceiling. But they want permanent tax cuts for the rich. They've been fighting their asses off for that for like the last 25 years. So you see who they're fighting for. You all need to be fighting over whether or not Puerto Ricans and blacks started hip hop together and get on the fact that it's I saw that the other day. There's a fight on Twitter over something Fat Joe said about Puerto Ricans being 50-50 and starting hip hop or some shit. And it's like, we can have this friendly argument, or you guys can go at it like it's East Coast, West Coast bullshit, and you're still not going to get health care. Yeah. So fuck it with the class war shit. We can have this discussion on who created hip hop. I'm no fucking expert. I don't want to have it. I'm not going to jump into it. But bottom line is, these things pop up online all the time, and I'm starting to think these little fights pop up online
to distract
us. A huge distraction.
Oh yeah,
and we need to stop.
They're really good at that. They're really good at keeping us divided and distracted and at each other's throats.
And if we're less anxiety ridden by that slipping and breaking our hip or whatever part, maybe we could have a civilized discussion about hip hop. It would make more sense. I'd be less on edge, and I might be a little happier to listen to your opinion and less about forcing mine down your throat type of thing.
Agreed.
All comes back to the big points. And like you said, we're going to continue to pound on healthcare, and we are looking for the next wave to come through and get rid of some of these older politicians and bring in the younger guys.
And real quick, just to show you that the GOP does not give a shit about you at all. Like, not that the Democrats barely do. I mean, I just wrote down some shit today. In 2017, now remember, we used to all take the Iowa basics. Iowa used to be this, like, I don't know, panacea of like, you're all smart, you get really good SAT, ACT scores, Iowa basics. 2017, Republicans took over Iowa completely, all of it, make all the rules, control Iowa completely. In 2024, it leads the country in teacher shortages, brain drain. Everyone's fucking leaving. This is what the GOP is going to do to all of your states if you continue to vote for these fuckers. I'm not saying the Democrats are perfect, but you continue messing with these GOP, it's going to be a giant brain drain. All the smart people are going to go to the coasts or the big cities or whatever. And all you middle states, I'm telling you, man, it's going to be deliverance. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how else to describe it. You're going to have It's all going to be homeschooling and banjos and shit. Good luck with that.
Yeah, that's what they want, though.
So-
They want people that can
And
go
part
serve
of-
in the military and do the drone jobs. They don't want you thinking and
Correct.
educated. They don't want you asking questions.
Absolutely not, Bill. So
It's nuts. It is. That's a sign of a failing society.
And part of getting
Yeah.
rid of the Department of Education is how much money's poured into it. And they
Mhm.
want to use that for tax cuts. It's the same thing with Medicare. It's the same thing with Social Security. They want to take that money and give it to the uber wealthy for tax
themselves.
cuts.
Yeah, and it's which Medicare and Social Security. That's our money. We pay into that. You're directly robbing from us. And again,
Doesn't
we've
add
said
to
it
our
before,
budget. Yeah, correct.
Mhm.
Yes.
Or our deficit, I should say. But no, that's what Elon Musk wants to do. He wants to drain Social Security coffers and pay for his tax cut with it. While he's the biggest government sucker of the tit with all of his government contracts.
For sure.
These guys, again, they don't create anything. They acquire shit. Elon Musk he says founder of Tesla. He's not the founder of Tesla. He paid the founders of Tesla to use the word
Yeah.
founder. These people don't build the computer. Steve Jobs sold computers.
Yeah.
So I don't know why there's all this hero worship, like there's some sort of geniuses because they're pretty good at math or some shit, or they can do a little bit of coding. He's no genius. He
all
takes
about the money, man.
risks. This guy, someone like Elon Musk, he wasn't even born in this country. What the fuck does Elon Musk know about growing up in America? Dude grew up in apartheid South Africa, and you want to listen to his fucking ideas? It's pretty dumb.
And what's
It's really dumb.
the difference between somebody like him and then somebody from, let's just say, as an example, Iran coming here on a student visa, getting educated because of their smarts at a major university like Stanford, let's say, and then that visa runs out, and you don't get to stay. You graduate, and then now they're looking at Canada, they're looking at European countries. You came here, you got educated here. Why don't we want to keep these people that can help us and have the wisdom and the intelligence to help our nation grow, as opposed to, hey, let's look at the least common denominator, educate them so they can cut grass, make a fine cup of coffee, and we don't have to do shit for them.
Mm-hmm.
Where do we go when the brain drain not only affects teachers in the middle of the country, but then we don't bring any smarter people into our country? We're not making them any smarter in our country. How can you possibly succeed?
You really can't, man. It's a failing society, and these people are gladly presiding over it while they loot everything and set themselves up to, be on top for all eternity. It's ridiculous.
I believe Trump believes that only white people are smart enough to immigrate to this country for the quote unquote architecture jobs, like his brilliant wife is a graduate. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And yes, we literally discount how many brown faces we're looking at the Cleveland Clinic that are experts in cancer, or go to a hospital sometime and see some of the people we actually were fortunate enough to keep.
Yeah.
And realize how many we're actually letting go that would like to stay, in a Western civilization and help out. But we're like, no, you got to get out of here. But if you're white, or if you're from Canada, because Canada has more expired visa people over here in America than anybody, but no one's looking for a white guy. It's a fact. They have thousands, tens of thousands, probably millions of illegal immigrants over here from Canada, because nobody really gives a shit if you came from that side of the border. And but if you come from the southern border, we got to separate you from your child, literally.
Yeah.
Well, now we're not going to separate you. We're going to send all of you back,
including the ones that were born here, because the Constitution doesn't mean a fucking thing anymore to this guy.
Well, I guess Barron's got to go then, right?
Yeah, I think someone explained that away, that technically, because who cares? Barron,
who cares? Yeah, enough.
Ivanka wasn't born here, so get rid of the first three Trumps. Tiffany can stay, of course. She's all American, of course.
Of course.
Even though she's the most neglected, she's the most American of the bunch, defined by them. But yeah, I think Trump doesn't believe that. I think he truly believes that just only white people should be doctors over here. And I think that since we're so uneducated in this country, that he's convinced the masses,
enough people
who mostly don't go to college, that these brown people just don't do anything, but they steal our jobs. And it's like, Dude, ain't none of you fucking oncologists. Shut the fuck up.
Well, and the sad part is, like you said, you go into the hospital, you're going to see all shades of color, and it's some of the best people around. I mean, I have somebody going through something right now on the oncology side, and they have an amazing Indian doctor currently. When my aunt was sick in the 80s into the early 90s, a lot of Pakistani physicians and such. You know, you want the most qualified people.
Period.
Yeah.
Male, female, none of that matters.
That study hard, know their craft, and, you know.
And give a shit.
Give a shit.
Yeah.
Developing country people usually give a shit because they've come from nothing. So that's the type of people I want in medicine in my life. You know, people that came from not a lot.
But my point being that unless you have that emergency, you're living off the stereotypes. You don't give a shit. And so you have to experience some kind of illness, somebody in your family having an illness, a tragedy happening for you to actually see the good in these people. And that's a shame. That
is a shame.
A weird dynamic.
It's a lot of brainwashing, though. That's, you know, literally decades, a century of just centuries of just brainwashing. Well, darker people are inferior. They're not up to, you know, Western European culture. Like, dude, you know what? In the Middle Ages, when people were shitting in a bucket and throwing it out on the streets in London, the Egyptians were making plaster casts, building the pyramids.
They weren't waffle stomping in the shower.
They were not. Sure. They were not. They were not throwing buckets of shit down onto the street and dying of plague.
They weren't watching two soakers and being a shaker. I know that's for damn sure. But, you know, they're so uncivilized.
So uncivilized. I mean, it's just ridiculous, man. And people buy into that decade by decade. And it's just the dumbest shit.
Even Western medicine, I mean, I saw a thing the other day. I don't know even to attribute this to, but even Rockefeller
saw that
Standard Oil, right? They're like, no, that's a monopoly. Break it up into 35 different companies. Dude literally says, I'm gonna fucking destroy America. Fuck you.
Yeah.
And so jumps into medicine, starts donating to medical schools because he's still a part of petroleum, and that's a part of pharmaceuticals is petroleum, and starts donating a bunch of money, then hires a guy to start studying what all these people are doing at medical schools and how they're teaching. And then somehow we get away from homeopathic medicine completely, and we get into this Western-based medicine that we know today because of an oil man.
Crazy.
Can't make that shit up. It's crazy. And it was all done out of spite. And now here we are 100-some years later, you know, and we don't do anything but Western medicine in America. I mean, that's it. And if you even talk about anything other than Western medicine to someone who's been educated in Western medicine, they look at you like you're half insane. And you know, the world's been around a long fucking time. I'm sure there's other techniques and, you know, medicines and whatever, but we don't have an open mind to shit in this country. We are very rigid in our thinking, and it's all because of gaslighting and brainwashing and stupidity and not enough good education. And, you know, I don't need to do this rant on Christmas Eve. You know what I'm saying?
No, you don't. Well, you know what? I'm going to slide you right into this. Anybody tell me what this is?
Something I've never eaten in my life. Looks like a fruitcake.
It's a fruitcake. Here's another tasty fruitcake. Now, I only knew one person that actually liked fruitcake. And I think it's because it comes with dried and candied fruits, nuts, spices, and alcohol. I think that last part might be the key. I'm not sure.
You know what? I'm skipping the middleman and just going straight to the bottle. I am not messing with that.
It's gross. I don't have any fruitcakes here. We have pumpkin pie and some
pecan pie.
No, not pecan. Pumpkin. And then our neighbor, the missionaries next door to us in our condo, brought us their Christmas cookies. They always bring all of the neighbors. See, this is the world I want to live in. I live next to missionaries. I live next to LGBTQ. I live next to college students. I live next to fucking Canadians. I live next to everybody. And we all somehow 100% different get along. And it's all based off of fucking communication. We just all communicate with each other. We all have a common enemy, the developer of our development, who hasn't developed half of it, which helps. But instead of getting at each other's throats, we all have a common enemy, just like we should do in this class war. have common enemy, all these fucking rich motherfucking oligarchs and CEOs, and let's communicate our way out of this shit. That's what we do here. It's on a much smaller level, but and you know, I get Christmas cookies out of it from missionaries that go to Iraq and Iran and all over the world to help people that have less than them. They're the real deal. They're very, very, very Christian. They're very religious, and I've never tempered my language around them once. I've never, you know, code switched on them once, and we get along.
And they don't lecture you about your language?
Hell no, they don't lecture me about my language, and I don't lecture them about fucking there is no God. So it's all good.
Well, and it's sad because, you know, the evangelicals, who are just horrible people, grab so much of the airspace that people don't realize that there are a lot of very progressive Christians that literally preach the words of Christ. Okay, and I'm not a religious person, but my take on it was that, you know, this guy's message, who was a Jewish carpenter from the Middle East, probably had olive skin, you know, curly black hair, not the blonde hair, blue-eyed Jesus that has been appropriated. But, you know, hey, get along. Look out for poor people. Don't trust the wealthy. Welcome the immigrants.
Don't bang your neighbor's wife.
Yeah. I mean, all,
you know,
just
the basic
tenets of being a good human.
Every Semitic religion says that. They're all the same. Christianity, Islam, Judaism, they're all Semitic languages. They all have some form of the fucking 10 Commandments in there if you go through it. And those are just basic things to get along in your community. You don't need religion or any spook monster to do any of those things. It's pretty basic shit. So
yeah, and it does take a village if you want to continue to evolve and be a little bit more progressive.
But it's communication. That's bottom line. Communication is different as we all are here. We're all communicating constantly, you know, and we all treat each other like we're complete, utter equals, 100%. Like three of the 10 units are feeding stray cats right now. Swear to God. And you know, it's all good. So
I want to circle back to the cake because the British made the fruit cake, right? And this is the Bush Noel, which my sister-in-law makes, which is amazing. I know Uncle Bill's had Carol's Bush before, and it's phenomenal.
What the heck is it?
You might want to rephrase that.
No, I like the way you phrased it. Carol's Bush. Let's talk about it.
Amazing. I mean, I haven't had it in years, but she made it several seasons. It looks like a ho-ho. And
a giant ho-ho.
And the chocolate outside of it is like cake with that.
Is it gluten-free or glutinous? Or
you could probably make it gluten-free if you wanted to.
Oh, because I've seen giant, like, gluten-free ho-hos my wife's friends made before. It looks a lot like that. I didn't know if that had gluten or not.
It's amazing. I mean, the cream, vanilla cream.
Homemade, I take it?
Yes, of course.
Brand new KitchenAid. I just bought one so I could make that cream, just letting you know. They're on sale. Get them now before the tariffs. I don't know that affects it. It's an American company, but you never know. They probably get their parts from China.
Yeah, and they'll jack it up just anyway because everybody else
is more expensive. Why shouldn't we be?
Right.
Do you have a favorite Christmas cake or holiday cake or cookie?
You talking to me or Bill?
You, Gene, and then we'll go to Uncle Bill.
Eugene. Never call me that.
Hey, Eugene.
No, I don't. A Pacifico beer. That's a great dessert. So I don't know, dude. I mean, it depends. I mean, Melissa went. My daughter was in the mood specifically for Krispy Kreme glazed donuts the other day. So they went and got, you know, a dozen of those, and I ate 4 of those. And
tough not to.
Once a year, that's probably good to eat a Krispy Kreme like that.
For sure.
My wife is a huge fan of donuts. I think if she was to pick a dessert, she would just get a really good bakery's donuts. Not Krispy Kreme. She hates Krispy Kreme personally. She likes the mom and pops. She loves Goldie's donuts though. I think it's a Jewish bakery. They have her cherry cake donuts and her blueberry donuts that she loves.
Wow.
But me personally, no. I used to drink my coffee black until I met my wife. Now it's all creamed up, sugary fucking latte, and that's dessert enough. And I'll have some of my missionaries cookies, and I'll have some, I don't know, vanilla ice cream, like a Coke float or a root beer float. Maybe a piece of pumpkin pie. Sometimes key lime pie. Sometimes cheesecake, but nothing like I want all the time. I have no regular favorites.
And Uncle Bill, other than eating Carol's Bush, is there anything else you liked?
Well, when I'm not eating Carol's Bush,
Yes.
I do like the pumpkin pie, especially with the homemade whipped cream.
Oh
you
yeah,
guys make. That's
a
always
must.
really
I'm a
good.
chemical Cool Whip guy. I
Really?
grew up like with pumpkin pie only. There's some weird like flavor combo with these fucking store-bought pumpkin pies and Cool Whip that my brain is used to that particular food. I like real whipped cream on almost everything else.
Yeah.
But with pumpkin pie, for some fucking weird reason, I like Cool Whip. I don't know. It'd be the same thing with Jello, by the way, too. If you ate one of those like Jello cups, like were layered, which I haven't in 20 years,
gotta be Cool
I
Whip.
would want Cool Whip, not real whipped cream, because that's what my brain is used to. So
it's that chemical reaction. They all sync up
something about
perfectly.
it, man.
Probably has
And hit those synapses.
What about you, Rob?
Libby
You were a short little fatty when you were a kid. What's your favorite sweet? I know you liked the sugar when you were 7.
Yeah, I would eat. And I mean, I like donuts. Obviously, I
you're a
love
donut
Carol's
fan.
Bush as an adult, but
Right.
as a kid, it was basically donuts. Our Italian neighbor that we spoke of would bring donuts every Saturday morning.
Like
I would run over.
go get them at an Italian bakery.
I don't know where he got them, but I will say this: I'd run over there to go eat them, and Uncle Bill would run away terrified of the neighbor. So
my wife once got reprimanded by a grandma at I don't know, how old were you, Melissa, when you got reprimanded for eating an extra cookie? 6 years old. What was her name?
Shaming.
Mrs. what? Oh, well, she can't remember her name, but anyway, Melissa like asked for a second cookie from the mom, and the grandma, the Italian grandma, was like, "Shame on you, a little piggy, wanting an extra cookie," and that's burned into Melissa's head for.
That's so damaging.
What happened to manja?
I don't know, man. This particular grandma was like,
"They tell you to eat more. You're too skinny.
One cookie, bitch." It was weird, but it's never left my wife. It's affected her the way she would eat food in front of you to this day. She wouldn't.
Well, and Gene, you'd always be like, "I know you're a closet eater."
Yeah, well, aren't we all closet eaters at times because of the anxiety and the depression and no one's watching?
Ask Rob. I'm a closet eater.
You are a closet eater, Bill?
Ask him how I'll eat a donut or a piece of cake.
He'll take a donut and he'll cut it in quarters or maybe eighths. And then you'll see a little piece gone, little piece gone. I mean, within the hour,
a little bit at a time. He thinks he's got that super digest, and like taking 15 minutes in between each piece is going to somehow make it less fattening.
Yeah, like those calories are going to dissipate.
And then you'll see him go hanging somewhere doing pull-ups afterwards because he's a weirdo.
As if Uncle Bill's got a weight issue. I mean, give me a break.
No, neither one of you have a weight issue. But I do like the fact that you guys were two like former like semi-chubs. You weren't chubbed like me growing up.
Dude, I was a chubster.
So all that affects you, man. All that shit affects you because, like you said, clothing and shit. It's horrible.
Traumatic.
Like a little old man, Billy.
Right.
Let's go try on pants, and then they're pulling them up over your fat, and you're just like,
yeah. I know. Somehow you even know as a little kid, God, why do I have this gut?
those husky boy pants.
You guys have been in shape for like 35 years. When did you guys finally decide, okay, I'm not going to be like that guy, and decide to go full skinny? I've never seen you heavy. I mean, that one time Bill was lifting and eating a lot, but that was muscle. That wasn't fat.
He was swole for sure.
Yeah, he was swelled up. Yeah. But I never saw you guys fat when I got there in 96 in Atlanta.
When was the last time you were fat? 95. Your first year there was when Campo took over, right? Because they always had a shit ton of candy and stuff in the equipment room. But the old equipment manager, Whitey, who had been there for a long time but passed away mid-season in 94, didn't let really anybody in, right? You had to be like on his favored list, whatever.
Right.
So when Campo took over, the season that you came, dude, it was open season. There were like Kit Kats, Snickers, Hershey bars, all kinds of shit back there. And you're there all day. It's a long day, right? You're doing practice, you're cleaning up, you're running your errands, whatever. You get hungry, and dude, you have a Kit Kat, maybe two. Maybe you have a little, have one a little bit later. Yeah. That was the first year.
You did a lot of running though. You burned a lot of calories along with eating
I
all
didn't
that
burn enough
candy.
that year because I got a gut by the time the off season rolled around. I had a gut.
Well, and your helmet night Thursdays, buffing helmets, Pizza Hut, right?
Oh man, yeah.
Several pizzas come in. You're eating late after hours. You're eating crappy food. I mean, it's tough.
How about the Falcon Inn lunches, man? It was nothing but fried foods. It was the first time I'd ever fucking been to a team facility where like the majority of the food was fucking fried, like fried catfish, fried chicken, mashed potatoes, and like swimming in fucking butter. I'm like, what? I'm like, even I don't eat this shit. What in the fuck is going on here? No wonder these motherfuckers never win. It was the worst fucking training table I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, I'd have to go to McDonald's to get something healthy because remember there was a McDonald's right next to the facility, and you'd see guys taking off the McDonald's
across the street if you were brave enough.
Yep,
right up the hill.
Those days. Oh my god, they had terrible food there. So I mean, again, we should talk someday the difference between family-run teams where they literally make the money off of the franchise and
corporate
teams that are just owned like. They were billionaires coming in. This is just a friggin' hobby for them, It's it was quite a difference back in the '90s on how those teams operated, what the facilities looked like. Mark Mojo ended up moving to Baltimore because he needed the $50 million. I mean, he's offering these huge signing bonuses, and he's not getting the loans. And Baltimore's like, "Hey, we'll give you some money."
Yeah, we got this.
It didn't take much, and then all of a sudden, Baltimore has 2 Super Bowls, and Cleveland has 0. And that's how it works with rich guys. So.
Yeah. Well, it was that way with the Rams too. They had a really nice facility here. They were owned by, Georgia Frontier, very wealthy. They had a really nice dining facility, the cafeteria. The food was good. They had all kinds of stuff. They had like a coffee station. They had a cereal station. But the atmosphere, I have to say, the atmosphere with Atlanta, there were definitely perks to working with a family-run team where,
for sure,
you knew everybody. Taylor Smith, the president, would come down and, get his workout in, have a beer, shoot the shit with you.
Every day he left 2 Budweisers and a plastic bag with ice, and he was out the door. See you, boys.
In his car, driving and drinking. Love it. Good old boy.
Well, and I won't even say that, but I will.
No, but I will.
He wasn't. He knew everybody.
I got blackmail shit on that guy. He'll never do anything to me. So I'm just telling you.
Just saying.
When we're famous, I'll let you know what I know about that guy.
You were on a first name basis with everybody. They knew you. You went where you wanted to go. Like, dude, I had free run of the facility, the dome. Anywhere.
We went to New Orleans. These guys were on the plane and they were going out. We'd have to see them eventually after we set up at the stadium. But all these guys were out.
They ended up in Tijuana on the West Coast trip. Those motherfuckers were maniacs. The team physicians, the fucking. Are you kidding me, dude?
Who was it that hit a whorehouse down there and was like, "Oh yeah, you got to put your money in your wallet in your sock."
I can't say, but I know. I'm not going to say a name.
It was said.
Yeah, it was said, but yeah, I'm not going to say. I'm not going to say.
That was that week spent on the West Coast we had back-to-back games in Seattle and San Diego. And
oh my God, I got so fucking drunk in Seattle. Like we got off that plane and I just started drinking and just got hammered. I don't even know if it was the day before the game.
Because we flew out on Friday, right? It was the day after Thanksgiving we flew out. And dude, I was so happy because that was the only time I got a chance to sleep. I love those long plane rides because I could sleep.
Amen. Back or forth.
Was that the night you were passed out in the hallway of the hotel? Or was that Tobeck?
Me?
Maybe it was Tobeck. Somebody, one of the O-line was.
I never passed out.
Not in the lobby, in the hallway.
I couldn't do that. I could never pass out in the hallway. I can't even sleep on a plane. So that wasn't me.
Maybe it might have been 61.
I don't know, dude. Back in the day, if you had time to get your drink on before a game, you did. So I don't know if they do that shit anymore. I don't know what they do. In between the steroid and human growth hormone injections, I have no idea how these guys party.
But we'd go out Thursday nights and drank Grey Goose because you guys had a weigh-in the next day, and Schreiber believed that it was less caloric.
Well, he actually believed it would help you lose weight. It would help dehydrate you as opposed to beer, which you would gain water weight. I don't know. He wasn't wrong because I didn't drink a lot of beer back then.
Played for 20 years. He was probably onto something.
A lot of Crown, a lot of vodka, and way too many pills. which we can talk about someday, because we used to pass around pills on that plane freely, because my favorite was Demerol, because Vicodin gave me a tummy ache. But
nothing better than Vicoprofen.
Animals self-medicate, if you didn't know, and there's nothing you can do about it. So legalize it all, people, because they're going to do it anyway.
Well, I guess did they crack down on that? Was it the Saints that had that, or was it the Saints that had that scandal in the training room where guys were just going in and? That's
what Sean Payton wasn't he all hooked on the pills and they gave him a year off after all the.
Oh yeah,
all his
easy
troubles.
access, man.
And then him and Kevin James went and wrote a movie, fictional movie about his life, about him coaching kid football or some shit. So, you never seen that movie?
No.
Kevin James stars as Sean Payton.
Really?
Yeah.
Sounds terrible.
Oh, I'm sure it is terrible. I would never watch it, but I don't know. He had a year off to do whatever he was doing. Obviously, he's got
drying out. Maybe.
Probably, dude. I mean, again,
we came back twice as angry. Okay, nobody treats Russ Wilson.
I'm not going to blame anybody for being addicted to an opioid in the '90s, because they literally said the shit wasn't addictive.
Yeah,
they passed him out like candy,
and they passed him out, and you got high as fuck, and they felt good, and they weren't fentanyl, so you didn't die unless you drank too much and ate 7 of them. So, but yeah, I have teammates that have died of opioid overdoses. A couple, they're not big names, but I could name a couple. And so,
and
scary shit back then that we were just doing.
And just due to the physical nature of the sport, as we talked about the brutality, I mean, your brain gets a little mushy, and next thing you know, you're drinking antifreeze, Terry Long.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that poor guy.
Fuck.
Yeah, the NFL really should give a shit about brain injuries and cognitive care.
Well, and I bring that up because even Roethlisberger came out based on what we talked about with the Steelers schedule, 3 games in 11 days.
Yeah, what was that?
He just said it's all about the money. The league couldn't show any more lack of care for these players than making them play. Now, the interesting thing was the Steelers play the Chiefs today. Or on Wednesday, tomorrow. And then Texans play the Ravens, and then the teams flip-flop the next game, where the Ravens will play the Chiefs, right? And the Steelers.
How many days later
was
that game?
And the Steelers will play the Bengals, actually.
Was that a 10-day off period after that game, or after Wednesday? That's the long break?
It's still the same teams.
It's
like
crazy.
They were lazy about scheduling. They're like, well, let's just use these 4 teams, and then they can play each other flip-flop.
Well, I don't think it was even laziness. I think that they were pretty straight up about, hey, Netflix is going to pay us a shit ton of money.
Oh,
and these are teams people want to see, so we're going to do it. Fuck them. They'll be fine.
Well, they're not going to be fine. The quality of play suffers. Guys are getting hurt left and right. And then you take the talent out of there on top of the fatigue, and the game looks like shit. Then let's throw these refs in here that love throwing the flag, and I don't even want to watch. It's lame. It's boring.
It is lame. It's hard to watch.
And it's not even like a flow to these games.
Yeah. And dude, Gene, how did you feel like Monday morning, man? Monday mornings were rough, right? By what point? How were you feeling by Wednesday, the first practice?
Are you talking about like week 17? Are you kidding me? Week 16?
Even like week 4 or 5. 3 or 4 games.
Yeah, but I mean, literally the last quarter of the season, you're in. Who is not in a lot of pain besides the kicker?
Yeah.
Maybe the punter.
But no, you're all beat up. It's crazy.
Yeah.
They keep you going with Toradol and anti-inflammatories and a lot of ice, a lot of heat, a lot of sound. And I don't know what they're doing today because I haven't been in a locker room in many decades. But yeah, man, they just know how to keep the human body together. Look at the survival rates of our troops now with this wartime medicine. You can keep someone that's completely blown apart alive,
whether they want to or not.
Right. It does not surprise me that you can get a football player back on the field on the same year after blowing his Achilles now. I mean, it does surprise me, but it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
And your boy from Pittsburgh, Atlanta was one of the first to start that. The DB, what's his Rod Woodson?
Oh, Woodson,
he came back from the ACL.
He came back for the Super Bowl, right? He was like the first guy, right?
Yep, that's right.
And now it's like he did it. You see how they use you, rich people? He did it because he wanted to come back for the passion of the game.
Right.
The oligarchs that owned all the teams saw that shit and like, hey, surgeons, get on this shit. You can get back the same year now. And now they're literally coming back the same year after ligament tears and shit, dude. That's absolutely insane.
And to your point, Woodson was a stud athlete. I mean, he was a track star at Purdue. If anybody could come back with his love of the game, it was him. That's not your average player is going to come back from that and then even be able to be worth a shit, frankly.
Terrell Owens came back from broken leg.
Played in the Super Bowl with a broken ankle.
And so did what's his face, the nose guard from Cincinnati. Didn't he play with a broken leg? Crumry played with a broken leg.
He did.
Oh, I think he had to leave that game, dude. That thing was
some real men out there. But I wasn't one of them.
Jack Youngblood played in that 79 Super Bowl with a broken leg.
Yeah, he had a broken leg
fibula.
Too. Yeah.
I mean, think about that shit.
It's nuts.
You just named 3 guys that played in games with broken legs.
Dude, it's crazy. But
and oligarchs don't give a shit about you playing 3 games in 11 days. That's the point I'm making. They never fucking cared. So
no, you're right.
And the owners are definitely oligarchs.
Oh,
this isn't like, this isn't, you don't have the Rooneys and the Maras and the Hallases running the teams like that.
Melissa
anymore.
told me yesterday, Haslam bought this team in Cleveland for $1 billion. It's worth $5 billion today. He hasn't even owned it that long.
Amazing.
Yeah.
He didn't have to do anything.
All he's done is make poor choices, insisting on drafting Johnny Football.
He didn't even have to win, and it's worth $4 billion more than it was that he paid for it.
Oh yeah,
and that was while he was under indictment or under investigation for
fucking
fraud,
ripping people off at his
cash fraud. Exactly, his whole family.
Was he the Flying V guy, Flying J?
Yeah. And his brother was the governor, and
his kid was filming people in the restrooms. Classic.
You can't make this shit up.
I know. And that's what we're dealing with.
Material.
We've always been dealing with a class war. It just didn't even dawn on me until after this election. It's like, holy shit, this is just a
and this is an extreme. This is money you can't even comprehend in the hands of 10, 12 people. It's out of control.
And they want more. That's the thing. Like, how much do you need? You people you're just soulless. You will never be happy.
You heard May Musk. She said, have babies, don't go out.
That's right. Produce drones for us. Quit complaining.
If you have 10 people living in one apartment, that's fine. You'll live. You all can all share a toilet. We don't give a fuck. We just need you as workers.
Yeah. It's insane.
That's their attitude.
It's so inhuman and so incredibly cruel. And now people are seeing it. Well, and these things never end well. They just never do. I mean, you look at the French Revolution. You look at the American Revolution. They didn't like that tea tax. Fuck that.
Yeah, we're on their asses now, so they're gonna all double down and say it's terrorism to hurt an elite, but we're gonna have 400 million guns in this country that you guys can do to anybody that doesn't make $1 billion. You can go where it doesn't work for a billionaire. You can go do whatever you want to them. Go shoot up a school. Do whatever the fuck you want.
Oh yeah, that's
not terrorism. That's different.
Thoughts and prayers for that.
Yeah, thoughts and prayers for that. But you touch one of us, we are gonna legislate you into hell. Apparently.
And that's what I wanted to say. I had read somewhere that they might have fucked themselves by throwing that terrorism charge on there because they're going to have a really hard time. First of all, you're going to have a hard time getting a jury to convict this kid.
Yeah.
I think that jury selection is going to be very interesting.
Scrutinize the shit out of this trial because a lot of the information they're probably going to give you in this trial to convict him is going to be bullshit. Mm-hmm. Do this based off of the actual evidence. And if you're not feeling it, then just don't feel it. I have no animosity towards anybody that doesn't want to fucking convict this kid because he got the conversation rolling.
I agree, dude. Look,
whatever happens.
This kid, he's a good-looking kid who is smart, comes from a generational wealth, and still, I mean, he could have walked away. He could have just written a check and paid all those hospital bills, all of that shit.
For the record, he could have gotten away. What are you sitting in Altoona for?
That's what I don't get. Like, what are you doing?
I think there's some mental illness issues there that they have to,
right.
Which is another thing they don't address.
The guy dropped off of the face of the earth. He was tight knit with his family and his friends, and then no one had heard from him for months. Yeah, come on, that's not normal behavior.
Well, but I mean, he had I guess a pretty good circle of friends out in Hawaii, people that he hung out with and got to know. He seemed like a really sociable,
started a book club and shit. Yeah, no, dude, definitely.
But he had that problem with his back.
Yeah,
he said, it fucked him up. He couldn't, he couldn't get it up anymore. Couldn't surf. just
think about being that age and having those issues and
it
how
all
upset you would
blends
be.
in. His mom had issues too, fibromyalgia.
fibromyalgia. Yeah.
Myalgia, yeah,
Mhm.
Thank you. And they would, and he would hear her at night, just
In
whimpering
pain.
or crying, and it's got to have an effect on you.
Yeah. And
How
you know,
could it
you can
not?
only push people so far. And now that the discussion has started, you're not getting that toothpaste back in the tube.
Put me
You
on
can
the
try and
jury. I
distract
think
us with drones.
he's not guilty by reason of insanity because of the trauma. He snapped, he flipped.
Let's just
It
go
happens.
reasonable doubt. Could have been
Yeah.
somebody else.
Could have been. I
Oh,
mean,
it
those,
is.
yeah.
I have no idea if it was Luigi or not. I just know this is the guy they chose.
Well, we're gonna
and
see because
planted $10,000 in his book bag that he had no idea where that came from. I mean, there's questions.
For
Hopefully,
sure.
he has the best lawyers.
well, and I feel like society in general, if you're on called up for jury duty, it's people take that very seriously, and they should.
Always.
So I feel like he will get a fair trial. That could certainly go either way, but I know people will be pretty intense on the information. They're going to have to present a lot, and like you said, with the terrorism charge, you better
that's
have
bullshit.
something there, or else
That's
it ain't
total
happening.
bullshit.
And the mayor following him on the perp walk. I mean, this is prejudicial.
That
as
dude
a
is just looking
motherfucker.
for a pardon.
And to that
He is-
note,
Do this stuff.
There was
he
a
is on
woman,
his knees looking for a pardon from Trump. That
there was a
crooked
woman on
motherfucker.
TikTok, and she showed the Joker scene with Luigi, and they're like, "No, why would they have this guy out here?" And she's like, "No, move Luigi to the right a little bit." And they were talking about Mayor Adams and saying, this guy's saying, "Oh, wait till you hear my side of the story. Oh, wait, I'm innocent." All this shit because his trial's coming up, and now you're out here doing the perp walk with this kid. Give me a break.
We have clowns that are in charge of billions of our tax dollar every year.
Oh my
And
God,
they're
it's
clowns, or they have fucking dementia if they're in DC because they're
Yeah.
guaranteed 80 years old. So
Yeah, or they're just fucking horrible people.
Well,
Sadistic.
and on Uncle Bill's horrible people note, we got to lighten up. It is Christmas Eve day,
yeah,
so I'm going to throw out the Merry Christmas,
Merry
All right,
Christmas.
Merry
It's
Christmas,
the
everyone.
season.
Happy
Have,
holidays, Happy Hanukkah, which starts at sundown tonight. We'll be
Yes.
doing those candle races eventually.
You got
When are we
about a
gonna see
month
the
before
Lockies?
the Pussy Grabbers president. Enjoy the shit out of tonight, I would say.
Could be the last one in a
because,
while.
Yeah, who knows? If he likes celebrating Christmas next year. So,
Gene
when we
could be
all
a
have
good-
the fucking bird flu and Jared Kushner's in charge of, the response for it. Well, it wouldn't be Jared this time. He's busy managing Saudi money.
Yeah.
right.
Who would Trump put in charge of the next pandemic, you think?
Maybe Miller. He
Elon
could do it.
Musk.
Jeez,
Elon knows
yeah,
everything.
okay.
Let's put him in charge. He'll fix this.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, anyway, Merry Christmas on that note.
We'll figure it out moving
All
forward.
We will.
All right, man. You guys have a good night. Have a good day
You too,
tomorrow.
man. Merry Christmas.
You do the same. Merry Christmas, guys. I'll see you soon, Gino.
All right, take care.
I'll see you sooner, I'm assuming.
Yeah, you will.
All right, be good.
All right,
See you,
guys.
Gene.
Take care.
Bye-bye.